Hey guys, back again. I just got done recording that video on the armor of God, and I want to share something with you. I'm looking at study light commentaries, and I was a little bit caught up and curious on verse 15 where it talks about having the feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace. And the reason why is because I think that the overall context is talking about, our personal defense against, wickedness in this life, and and a lot of people want to interpret it that, the feet shed with the gospel of peace is that we are to spread the gospel, and I mentioned that because that's what I've heard, but I had a feeling that, maybe there's another way to look at it, because, how is that so much of a defense for us against evil? And I'm sure there are ways that it could be said that it is, but I'm reading through the commentaries, and there are different interpretations of it. And one that I see already is John Gill's, so I want to share that with you. And let's see. It says, "And your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace. The gospel is so called because it makes men to be of peaceable tempers and behaviors, and gives peace to distressed minds. It directs the way to eternal peace, and publishes peace made by the blood of Christ, and has a much better claim to this name and epithet than the law has, which is often called peace by the Jews." Now here's the main part. The reason why I wanted to read this is that he says the quote-unquote preparation of it does not design a promptitude or readiness to preach the gospel, or to receive it, or to profess it, or to give a reason of faith in it, or to endure reproach and persecution for it, nor that readiness which the gospel is a means of, as for every good work, for the spiritual warfare, for the Christian's journey heavenward, or for heaven itself, but the word, and he says the Greek word, it signifies a base or foundation, and so it is used by the Septuagint interpreters on Zechariah 5:11. And here it designs a firm and solid knowledge of the gospel for the believer themselves. And I'm just curious because I haven't looked at the Zechariah. I want to see if it actually uses the word preparation or prepared to. Probably not, but we'll see. Okay. No, it looks like in this instance the same Greek word is interpreted as established in Zechariah chapter 5 verse 11. It shall be established and set there upon her own base. So anyway, he's going to the Greek, but doesn't matter so much. Let me see here. Continue what he says here. "As it publishes peace by Jesus Christ, which yields a sure foundation for the Christian soldier to set his foot upon, and to stand fast on, it being that to him, as the shoe is to the foot, its base or foundation. And for the feet to shod with it does not mean the outward conversation being agreeably to the gospel. Though such a walk in conversation is very beautiful and safe, and such may walk in war with intrepidity, but it designs the constant and firm standing of believers in the faith of the gospel, and so striving and contending for it, without being moved from it, that it may continue with them. Shoes or boots, which were sometimes of iron and sometimes of brass, are reckoned among the armor of the soldiers." And so the main point of me reading this is that he's saying, it doesn't have to do with going out and preaching the gospel, even though we are called to do that, and that's all over Scripture. So it's not necessarily, a wrong thing to say that, because we are supposed to spread the gospel. But I'm saying in the context of this specific passage, what does this mean, and how is this to be interpreted? And I think that it means something else, and I think that I kind of agree with him here. But I want to look through some other commentaries. But I'm pretty sure I do agree with him here, that it does have to do more with how the gospel is our defense personally when we have our strong faith in it, that, we're not able to be moved from it. And there was something else I read. I've looked at Albert Barnes a lot in the past, and at the end of his commentary here, he says it is difficult to determine the exact meaning, and perhaps all expositors have erred in endeavoring to explain the reference of these parts of armor by some particular thing in the gospel. And so I think that's okay for us to share, our thoughts and stuff, and to strive to get the correct interpretation. But I've been, a lot. When I first started making videos, I wanted to kind of give this impression, I guess, that I was, always certain on everything. And then as the channel has gone on, I've been a lot more looser with things, and I'm just kind of giving you my opinions and my ideas, and I'm saying, I don't really know all the time, but, I think, as I'm studying that, I think this is more and more accurate, and I might have to go back on some things that I said because I didn't know. But, I see examples from other commentators who are saying, it's difficult to determine the exact meaning, and they don't even know. We can have a good idea, but sometimes, things are a little bit more ambiguous, or, it's hard to put yourself in the shoes of the writer at that time. But it doesn't mean that the Bible can't be understood. But I do think that the Bible is misunderstood a lot of times, and that's why, I feel compelled to study it more, because I think sometimes, a lot of people are majorly off on some things, and sometimes, just minor ways. But anyway, this is one of those minor things where if you hear people talking about the feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace, and they liken it to spreading the gospel, I think you're missing the point. I think it has to deal with how the gospel is supposed to be an encouragement and a defense for us personally in these times of trouble. And so it's a strength to us. So anyway, that's that. Let me know what you think. God bless.